Good morning, Your Honor. I represent Plaintiff John Rogers. My client has filed a forced imprisonment complaint against the defendant, Centerpoint. Respectfully, my client's position is that Centerpoint's action has met all the elements of a forced imprisonment case in our jurisdiction, and my client requests that the defendant be liable for the damages he suffered from such forced imprisonment. Georgia Statute Section 51-7-20 provides that forced imprisonment is the unlawful detention of the person of another for any length of time, whereby such person is deprived of his personal liberty. In Farrell v. Mikula, decided by Georgia Appellate Court in 2008, the court has determined that the only essential elements of a forced imprisonment action are detention and unlawfulness. Neither malice or lack of probable cause had to be shown. We now turn to element 1, detention. In Webb v. Prince, decided by Georgia Appellate Court in 1940, the court has determined that a private person who causes or directs an arrest of another by an officer without warrant may be liable for false imprisonment in the absence of justification. Therefore, the one who actively instigates or procures an arrest without lawful process is generally regarded as the principal for the officer's acts, and he may be liable to respond in the damages. In our case, my client has handcuffed and arrested by Sergeant Lee, who is an off-duty police officer hired by defendant as a security. When my client refused to allow David Mena, Centerpoint representative, and their tree trimming crew access my client's backyard. Such arrest was expressly requested and directed by Mena, as shown in the video. Mena said to Lee, and I quote, "I want you to arrest him and put him in your car." This clearly shows that Mena, as the representative of the defendant, caused and directed the arrest of my client, and his active instigation of the arrest without lawful process, meaning the warrant, is established the defendant's liability for the forced imprisonment action under the repedia superior doctrine. The defendant may argue that in Walton v. Georgia Power Company, decided by Georgia Appellate Court in 1988, that the court determined that if a part-time police officer was not directed by his employer to detain anyone but made his own decision, then the company is not liable for a forced imprisonment action. However, Your Honor, respectfully, that case should be distinguished from the present one because the arrest of my client was not police officer Lee's independent decision, but Mena's express request based on all the facts and circumstances on the record. Therefore, our position is the first element of detention is established. Now we turn to element 2, unlawfulness. In Scott House System Inc. v. Hecox, decided by Georgia Appellate Court in 1985, the court has determined that a defendant in a forced imprisonment case premised on a warrantless arrest does not carry his defensive burden by merely demonstrating that the existence of probable cause, but must go further and establish the arrest was made because of exigent circumstances enumerated in Georgia Section 17-4-20. Section A2 of such Georgia Statute 17-4-20 lists the exigent circumstances where an officer outside of his jurisdiction may make an arrest without a warrant. That includes A, if the offense is committed in such officer's presence or within such officer's immediate knowledge. B, when in immediate pursuit of an offender for an offense committed within the jurisdiction of a lawful enforcement agency that employs such law enforcement officer. Or C, while aiding or assisting another law enforcement officer in the jurisdiction of the law enforcement agency employing such other law enforcement officer. Your Honor, in present case, none of the exigent circumstances permitted by law is applicable because my client, again, is arrested only, one, upon Mana's expressed requests, and two, only after Officer Lee asked my client if he would let the crew to do their job, and my client said no. These facts clearly show that my client's arrest was directly due to his preventing of easement, not for his other acts, including bumping tree trimming crew or picking up a baseball bat, which he immediately relinquished. And if there was no such preventing of access, my client would not have been arrested. No offense was committed as listed in the aforesaid statute exists. Therefore, our position is the second element of unlawfulness is established. So, Your Honor, again, I would respectfully ask to move forward with my client's forced imprisonment action against the defendant and have defendant respond to my client's damages. Thank you, Your Honor.